Welcome to Sunday Morning Quarterback with Jay Stockwell and Bob Frady.
Sunday Morning Quarterback. I'm Jay Stockwell.
I'm Bob Frady.
And I have been waiting for this one. Well, George, say hello. You're
I'm here. I'm here again, everybody.
We have been waiting for this one all summer long, and want to welcome our special guest, Adam Carriker, who is our kind of hero, basically the number one podcaster in the world. And
Yeah, as long as your world is a small circle around Lincoln, Nebraska, he's number one in the world.
I was going to say, suck it, Joe Rogan, but please proceed.
But now you got a little competition from Coach Rhule, you know. By the way, you talked to him the other day. How was our man? Is he maybe you're our vehicle to get him on our podcast. I don't know. We'll see.
He was good. I appreciated him taking the time. They reached out to me back in March, right after spring ended, about potentially doing an interview with him. And I said, hey, can we do it closer to the season? And then before I knew it, camp was here. Once camp starts, coaches are busy. And I was like, oh, I might have waited too long. But no, we found a window for him to do it, even as game week approaches. So he seems like he's doing good. This offseason, as most people know, has been just positive vibe after positive vibe after positive vibe from Coach. Now, honestly, is that what he sees every day that he's talking about? Is that a little bit of coach speak and he wants his players to believe in positivity? So he kind of maybe talks through his players through the media. I think it's a little bit of both, the latter as well. But we'll truly find out come Cincinnati.
I'm looking at the depth chart here. And what leaps off the page for me, and I want to get your perspective because you've probably been there and seen it, like the size of the offensive line. I mean, every single guy is above 300 pounds. And the much-hyped Alabama transfer, Elijah Pritchett, is third on the depth chart. What's your perspective on the O-line? This looks promising to me, but I'm just a casual observer here.
So I knew they were huge. Honestly, we've been huge. I don't want to say they're even more huge this year because, first of all, that's bad English. Second of all,
they're hugerist.
It's not that big of a difference. But, like, I mean, you've got Corcoran and you've got Prohaska. Those guys are 6'9", 6'10" to begin with. Okay, you bring in Pritchett, you bring in Spindler. You've got all these other guys. Like, the average size of our offensive lineman is 6'5", 321 pounds. So they are a big offensive line. Justin Evans is going to be a very good player for us. If you take him out of the mix, the center tends to be the smaller of everybody. If you take him out of the mix, it's over 330 for the other four starters on average. So it's a very big offensive line. When it comes to four of the starting spots, I mean, Henry Lateef, everybody was like, as soon as Rocco came on, all right, he's one of our starting guards. And then it was like, all right, is Justin going to – I'm going back to like January, February. Is Justin going to be center or guard? Then they came out and were like, he's going to be a center, a very good one. Then who's the other guard? Well, it seems to be rock solid with Lateef. Rhule chooses him to go to Big Ten Media Days to speak on behalf of Nebraska, which is big. Now he's voted a captain. Yesterday was just announced. So he seems to be rock solid. So the two tackle spots – everyone kind of wrote in Pritchett, so to speak, and then maybe Gatula when he comes back, and then you got Corcoran, and then you've got Prohaska, and then Coach talks about how much he loves Canuck. Pritchett's had a lot of false starts, a lot of inconsistencies in practice. Probably the highest ceiling of any offensive lineman. That's no disrespect to any other guys in there who have Sundays in their future, including Gunnar Gatula, but just an insanely high ceiling, rather inconsistent. So it appears as though Gunnar Gatula, Turner Corcoran, maybe looking at that left tackle spot the most. What makes me kind of nervous is that right tackle spot because they didn't bring Pritchett in, pay him X amount of money for him to sit on the bench. The plan was for him to start. He's not going to start. So you're trying to find someone maybe you didn't plan on before to start at that right tackle spot. Doesn't mean they can't do their job. Just means it's a little bit more of a question mark. Along the offensive line, I got to feel a lot better. But there's still more to be proven.
I would say, Adam, listen, size is one thing, but this podcast proved that quick beats big most of the time.
Tortoise over the hair, though? No, not really.
Hey, by the way, you're the only person that would get this crew up at 7:45 on Sunday morning. What the hell's going on, man? I mean, Bob's wife is even complaining about it.
Oh, well, first of all, my apologies to your wife. I appreciate you guys having me on. yeah, when you guys wanted to do it, I was like, hey, this sounds great. And then my wife and I sat down. We have 6 kids, as you know by now, and very, very busy. They're all in multiple sports. There's actually 18 different sports teams.
That's like a gang of
18.
Carrikers.
I'm just going to keep repeating that. 18, 8 freaking team. So we looked at today and I'm like, man, we got soccer games at 9 Central Time. It's about 30 minutes away. So if we rock it out 7:45 to 8:15, 8:20, bam, it gives me plenty of time to get there. So I appreciate you guys getting up early on a Sunday.
All right, let's have you ever played at Arrowhead in your pro career?
Yes, I actually played there twice. Once for the Big 12 championship game, Nebraska, Oklahoma, my senior year, and then when I was with the Rams.
So we're
playing
looking at kind of a Nebraska sellout out there. If I'm reading the numbers right, like 60,000 Nebraskans coming down. Should be quite the atmosphere. You going?
I will be there. The instant they announced that Cincinnati was giving up a home game, this was supposed to be a Cincinnati home game, for a neutral site game in Kansas City, I was like, thank you for the extra home game, because that's really what it's going to be. From Cincinnati's perspective, I guarantee they're probably going to make more money. They figured it out financially. You can fit more people in Arrowhead. They didn't want to make it an official Nebraska home game. So this is what they did, but I guarantee the payoff for Cincinnati is more. For Nebraska, we'll take.
What is your perspective on them? They've got. I mean, the defensive guy. What's his name? George.
Dante's his first name.
He looks like a bit of a beast. Okay. What do you think about Cincinnati?
So they're a lot like us in ways that a lot of change this offseason. A lot of change, a lot of new players. Over 50% of their starters are going to be new, and a lot of those guys are portal guys. Just kind of similar to us in certain aspects. When you look at Isaiah Hunter, Dane Key, Rocco Spindler, Marquez Watson, Trent, who's in a battle at linebacker with Vincent Shavers, but I think Marquez is going to play a ton either way. It's going to be a lot of new. Now, when you look at them a year ago, they didn't have a great season. Okay, under 500. So for their perspective, they're probably like, man, we've got all these new exciting things. From Nebraska's perspective, we have all these new exciting things. Okay, and it's a brand new start. It's a fresh slate. It's a new season. It's game one. Nobody ever really knows what's going to happen game one of the season. So for them, I would imagine it's similar to us in the aspect of question marks, new and exciting, like the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. Okay,
George likes that. George,
wow, this got nerdy right now. Hurry, holy cow! I have some action.
Dude,
I have action figurines.
I have
action figurines. Awesome. I'm gonna paint them later.
Need to say this.
You do have action figurines. I can tell by the look on your face.
I love Star Wars. I couldn't get into Star Trek, however, and I know that's a very controversial issue, God. Star Wars and Star Trek. Don't throw a big thing, Bob.
That's live long and prosper. That's Star Trek gang sign.
You know what that is. I'm not that averse to Star Trek, but with Cincinnati, I think it's a lot similar to us. The difference is they're going to come in probably with even more question marks and obviously the underdog. Husker fans come in probably with more optimism, feeling like the favorites, which just makes it that much more important. We got to walk away with.
Hold on, Jade. Cincinnati has a problem that may not be recoverable, and that they have a Satterfield in a position of leadership.
So I just started looking into Cincinnati, like I did way back in the spring. All right, let's look ahead to our first opponent, and I spent like an hour on it, and then I was like, well, this is way too early. And so then I started looking into him again, and I saw the name Satterfield, and I was like, wait, Marcus Satterfield's coaching for them? I was like so confused for about 4 seconds. Then I'm like, oh yeah, that's their head coach. You know,
they're not related. How can you be? How can you have that name and not be related? I'm related to every Frady in the world. I mean, there's like 1,500 of us. Like, they're not related.
Yeah, I don't know. That is a large obstacle they have to overcome, though. I agree with you on
defense.
That.
Let's talk the Blackshirts. Coming off a very strong year. Some new pieces. What are your thoughts? This is according to all the pregame stuff that I've been reading. Pretty folks are thinking that the Blackshirts are really going to show out well. What are your thoughts?
This is probably the most athletic defense I can think of in a decade. I don't want to call us small, not small, light in the britches. When you look at the D line, there's only 2 guys that are 300 pounds. Everyone else is under. Okay, so we talk about how huge the offensive line is. The defensive line is the inverse of that, but incredibly fast and athletic. So what I'm curious to see is how Butler utilizes them. When I played for the Rams, we were a small D line. I was 295 as the nose guard, and I was by far the heaviest guy. Leroy Glover, the D tackle, was 280. He was incredibly undersized, but insanely strong. Then you had Leonard Little, 250. You had James Hall, who was 275. Like, we were undersized, but what we would do is we would stunt and move all over the place. And there's pluses and minuses to that. There's pluses because you're going to penetrate into the backfield a lot. And that year, the Cowboys had the biggest offensive line in the league. Like, Leonard Davis was listed at 380. That was a lie. He was easily over 400. Andre Giroud was listed at 330. He was like 360. And we stunted all over the place, and we ate them alive. The drawback to that is if something gets out of whack when you're doing all these stunts and movements, you can create a big lane. And so the question for me is, how does John Butler utilize them? How many tackles for loss can we get versus how many big plays we give up? Because there's going to be some give and take with this athleticism and this youth. I expect a lot of exciting wow plays by our defense because of the upfront athleticism, the second level athleticism, Dawson McCullough. You've got Vincent Shavers, Willis McGahee. We'll see what happens with him. He's one of the fastest guys on the team, but listed third. They have so much athleticism, yet a lot of youth. They do have experience, but some youth. So the question for me is, this defense is going to be exciting, and I think there's going to be a lot of big plays. Can they limit the offense's big plays while there's a learning curve going on with this youth? And because you want to see consistency. Defense, if you get 10 TFLs, that's great. But if you allow 7 big plays, that's an issue. It'd be almost better to have 5 TFLs and give up maybe 1 or 0 big plays on the back end. So the question is,
how
consistent
somewhat
can they
deep
be?
to me. You got Cam Lenhart, Riley Van Poppel. Both of those are number 2 guys on the depth chart. I mean, those guys put some plays together last year. So Williams Nwaneri and Cam, it's like Williams Nwaneri or Cam Lenhart is the starter. Again, when you talk about athleticism, Nwaneri he might be the best pure athlete we've had on the D-line in a half decade to a decade, just pure athlete. Now, I think he's listed at like 265. So again, a little bit undersized. Cam Lenhart was a guy who was 1 vote away from earning a single digit. Matt Rhule said it was the closest vote he'd ever seen. So he's proven himself to be very, very tough. You think back to 2 years ago, his true freshman season, he played great. He started some games. Whenever Ty came out, he would go in. He played great. So there's a lot of guys who have a lot of potential, a lot of athleticism. Keona Davis is going to start on the other side. Riley Van Poppel. I think the reason he's not listed as a starter, because he's going to start, is because I think we're going to see a lot of 4-man line. So on the depth chart, they listed as a 3-man line. There's a D tackle, an end, and a nose. I think that's misleading, and I don't think the coaches care. They don't want to give it away to anyone they're going to play, but we're going to see a lot more 4-man line, and I think Van Poppel's going to be that. George, what do you see as the key to the victory here?
Look, I think that our most touted, the players that we know are going to perform is kind of our D-backs and our safeties. I mean, we got Deshaun Singleton coming back, Sierra Wright. I mean, I think that's the thing we got to be most confident in. But I think the real question mark that everybody should be thinking about is Dylan Raiola. I mean, he's getting paid $3 million in NIL. Is he gonna live up to the standards? I mean, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. He's a good player, but he really has to step up those stats if he wants to be a contender. I mean, $3 million is a lot of money. It's one of the top
quarterbacks and running backs. Adam, what do you think about that side of the ball?
Well, because you're absolutely right with Dylan. I actually don't think that's been chatted about enough yet, but we'll come back to that in a second, because I'm going to go to the number 2 slot, TJ Lateef. Now, we'd heard great things about him throughout camp. And going back to, I almost said spring game, the Husker games. Going back to the Husker games, I'm like, this dude's not being talked about enough. Everyone's talking about Dylan. Can't wait for Trey Taylor to get here. Okay, dude still has 2 more years of high school. Then there's this talk about Dayton. I was like, well, what about the guy that's on campus now for this year's class, TJ Lateef? You watch him. He's an athlete. He's impressive. My concern was how quickly does he learn the playbook? Matt Rhule says, in his words, we don't have to dumb down the playbook for him. In other words, he's learning quickly and catching on, and being here all spring, I guarantee, helps. He's the number 2 quarterback, and I think that's telling. I think it's telling because Jalen Gromstad was kind of anticipated to be the number 2. Like, maybe not the highest ceiling in the world, but a very, very high floor. And it was almost a safe number 2. Like, he's going to come in, he's going to run the offense, he's going to be effective, a great game manager. Well, if that's your number 3, I'm kind of excited to see what our number 2 can do, because he probably has an even higher ceiling and potential, albeit not as much experience. Of course, Jalen hasn't played in like Big Ten games a ton either. So for me, I'm excited to see what TJ can do. And I actually wonder, down the road, if he's your clear-cut number 2, I expect Dylan to play well, to be very, very clear. I expect him to win some sort of all Big Ten honors by the end of the year, whether it's first team, second team, third team, or honorable mention, one of those. But if for some reason there's a 13-11 season and TJ's right there, I'm not throwing out a quarterback battle. Like, Dylan's a clear-cut starter, but I'm excited to see what TJ can do as time goes along. Now, when it comes to Dylan, I expect him to play well. I'm not going to throw out, like, there was that picture of him staring at the Heisman Trophy at Big Ten Media Days. That's possible, sure. I'm not going to throw a Heisman Trophy or All-American. All those things are possible with his physical talent and the guys around him and Dana Holgorsen coaching him. What I want to see is a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. When we were 5-1 after 6 games last year, he had 9 touchdown passes, 3 INTs. So he can do it. Obviously, he ended with 13-11. Okay, didn't end the same. I want to see 3 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio, and it's absolutely fair with the talent around him and the expectations and the amount of money he's being paid. It's fair. There's accountability and expectations that come with that. That's 1,000% fair. He should have some sort of all Big Ten honors at the end of the year, even if it's just honorable mention.
I kind of look at it like this, though. You got a gigantic offensive line. You got refrigerators with feet. You got a great running back in Emmett Johnson. And you got a fan base that loves when people pound the rock. It gets windy. It gets cold late in the season. You need the ability to run the football. So I don't think that Dylan Raiola I don't think he needs to have an order of magnitude leap. He had 2,400 yards last year. If he doubles that this year, he goes to number 4 all time on the Husker passing list. I think if he comes in somewhere around 3,000 yards, then it's a successful season, because that means they're running the ball and taking the pressure off of him to have to make platform plays that he didn't necessarily have the talent to do last year.
Bob, what are your takes on the running backs?
I love Emmett Johnson. Go ahead.
Can I hop in on that real quick?
Yeah.
Can I hop in on that real quick? Because you make a phenomenal point. What I actually think is more important, we average 150 rush yards a game, because last year we were under 130. So Wisconsin, as bad as they were last year, didn't even make a bowl game for the first time in up teen years. They averaged 153 rush yards a game. And they're not even trying to run the ball anymore. Luke Fickell's trying to change that offense, which I'm curious to see if he continues to do that. But, I mean, it worked for 30 years there, so let's change it now, right? Sounds like Nebraska in the early 2000s. But my point is, if we can average 150 rush yards a game, that will help set up the play action pass. We can help stretch the defense vertically, which will create underneath passes, dare I say screens, to work better this year, and you keep the defense off balance. So to your point, I actually think the weapons around Dylan, if the offensive line is truly indeed better and we can have a run game that's improved, Dylan doesn't have to do a ton more. When I'm talking about earning the money or all Big Ten honors, it's that fourth quarter. It's that, what do you do with the game on the line? When there's 2 minutes left in the game, that's what's going to stick out in people's minds. And what does he do? Because that's probably going to happen 2, 3, maybe 4 times this year, because Nebraska had 6 one-score games last year. We were 2-4. We may have 6 or more one-score games this year. We need to at least be 4-2, if not better. And a lot of times that comes down to what the offense does late in the games, which comes down to the quarterback. That's all I'm saying. Sorry.
No,
let's proceed with the running backs.
Running backs. George, what's your take on the running back room?
Look, I mean, Emmett Johnson's the clear-cut number 1, but I think the interesting guy is Mekhi Nelson. I think he got named running back too. I mean, he's a freshman. We haven't seen him play at all. We've seen Quentin Ives, but I think that's kind of the big question mark because, I mean, last year we played multiple running backs at once. We played Dowdell. We played Emmett Johnson. So it's going to be interesting to see if this guy gets snaps like the running back 2 was last year. So I think that's kind of the big question about that. But I think the room I'm most excited about in the offense has got to be the wide receivers. I mean, Dane Key, he's named a captain. He's named a single-digit number as a senior in his first year at Nebraska. I'm really excited to see him. We've never seen Isaiah Hunter play. He was the Cal transfer, I believe. And you get Corey Barney, who's wicked fast. So I'm really excited for the wide receiver room, but definitely a question mark there in the running back room.
Adam, thoughts on the running backs?
So I've liked Emmett since he was 4th string as a freshman. Our top 3 guys get hurt, and he comes in, and he was our best running back that year. Then I felt he was our best running back last year. Holgorsen takes over. He finally gets the rock a few more times. So you feel good about Emmett. All right. The question is the depth, 2, 3, who's behind him? How does that look? What if he gets banged up? What if he needs a breather? God forbid he misses a game, and then you need 2 running backs you can rotate. So you really need 3 running backs in case Emmett gets banged up. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it is football. So you feel good about Emmett. I look at number 2, Mekhi Nelson. This is the guy, if you pay attention to what people around the facility say, they love him. The only question is he's young.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen it in the game. So you don't always know what a guy is going to do in a game. What he's done in the offseason and in practices has made them very, very happy. So if you ask them going into game 1, they feel very good about Emmett Johnson and Mekhi Nelson. They like Isaiah Mosey. Quentin Ives. I apologize, Quentin Ives. He's just still coming back from that injury, so we'll see how that progresses. When you look at Mosey, he's a guy they moved to running back for a reason. He's also listed as one of their top returners when it comes to kick returners. So that tells you they like his explosiveness. So I feel pretty good about our 1-2, Emmett Johnson and Mekhi Nelson. We'll see how Mekhi actually does in a game, but man, I'm excited to see what he can do. It's if we need to go beyond that, if somebody gets banged up, who's going to step up that number 3 role? Because you need 3 running backs you can trust.
All right, let's do special teams, and then we'll go to predictions because we got to get you off to your soccer game, Adam. I got to tell you, this Archie Wilson kid has really captured the imagination of Husker Nation with his podium moment. I don't personally know a lot about the place kicker and the punter. And anybody got perspective on those guys?
I can go ahead.
Judge.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I've heard a little bit about there's a little bit of a kicker battle going on for the place kicker. So I'm curious as to what you think, Mr. Carriker, because I know it's John Hole and the other guy. They're kind of battling it out. They're both returners, I think. So, how do you think that'll play out?
So Kyle Cunanan and then John Hole. It seems like Tristan Alvano's kind of out of the starting kicking job at this point in time. John Hole at one point last year made 8 straight kicks, and he had a big game at Ohio State, which was part of the reason we were ahead with 7 minutes to go. So he's a guy who can do it. The talent is there, has a big leg. Rhule commented in press conferences last year, his 50-plus yard field goal attempts in practice were like the wow moments of practice. So it's there. The rumor and innuendo is, I shouldn't say rumor and innuendo, I just like saying that for fun, but the word on the street
the word on the street in Nebraska is corn. It's like, get out there and harvest. Harvest is the word on the street.
We throw up gang signs.
Nebraska gang sign.
Kyle Cunanan, if the game were to, I do like this. I like that a lot. My fingers are touching, so I got to move them. But Kyle Cunanan would be the starter, have the slight edge right now. So he appears like we're 4 or 5 days away from game 1. So he's probably the starter. Nothing's officially been announced yet, though. They're both capable. Cunanan, they brought him in for a reason. You don't have 3 kickers on scholarship for no reason. So they brought him in for a reason at the end of spring. Not that he was going to absolutely be the starter, but they obviously didn't feel great about where they were at that point in time. So it appears like Kyle Cunanan, Archie Wilson. Dude, Mike Eckler's like, when he talks to me about him, it's like his head's going to explode because he's beaming so much. He's just like, he can't wait for people to see this kid. You got to keep in mind, he's a true freshman and he's 19, so give him some grace. But the talent and the ceiling is through the roof.
Is it true he can kick with both legs? Oh, that's wild.
Yes.
As long as it's not at the same time, we're good.
Yeah. I'm trying to envision that. Like, that would be very interesting.
All right.
As far as the returners, you got like Ja'Cory Barney, like I said, Isaiah Mosey. You have the depth chart in front of you. Who else is listed?
Mosey,
I'm missing a
Kenneth
guy.
Williams, Mekhi Nelson, punt returners, Ja'Cory Barney, and Andrew Marshall.
Oh, dude. Ja'Cory Barney and Marshall. Anytime we go back to return a punt, either one of them can take it to the house. Like, they're both explosive. Barney might be the fastest guy on the team. Marshall, I mean, if you watch his returns at Idaho now, he didn't have a ton, which is why people haven't talked about him a lot. But he averaged over 40 yards per kick return. I think that was like 5 kick returns. But still, that's a lot. So the potential is there. When you talk about Mosey, again, they moved him to running back because he's explosive. And then you got Mekhi Nelson, who the coaches have said is one of the fastest, most dynamic guys on the team. And he runs with like an anger, like a veracity to him. So again, that's why he's back there to return some kicks too.
Well, we would be going to this game, except for on Friday, Bob and I are playing in the Bunderman Open. Our good friend Andrew Bunderman is a decorated Army officer. If you have ever seen the movie The Outpost, I think it's one of the top 10 war movies of all time.
Yeah, Jay hit
the football podcast, bro. Come on,
3,000 times.
No, there's a football angle here. So we've got Randall McDaniels playing with us, Hall of Famer, so that'll be a lot of fun, and a great guy and a great cause here. All right, let's do predictions, and we'll have Adam go last. Look, ChatGPT says 27-20. I think it's going to be a little wider margin. I think our defense is going to play very well, and I think Georgie hit it on the head with the wide receivers and Dylan. And I'm liking the looks of this line. So I'm going to say 28-14 for a Nebraska victory in our additional home game in Arrowhead.
George.
Look, I think the big question is how our defense is going to do. I mean, they've got Brendan Sorsby coming back, second year, similar to Raiola. He's a solid quarterback. He put up decent stats. But I still think we're going to pull away. I think it's going to be like 42-10. I think it's going to be a big margin for the win for Nebraska.
So you look at strengths and weaknesses in this game. Cincinnati's weakness is wide receivers, and Nebraska's strength is their defensive backfield. So that's a good matchup. The question is, can the center of the line, now missing the polar bear and missing Robinson, hold up against a very determined center of the field type of play? I think that Cincinnati will try to do ball control, which will keep the score down a little bit. And we made a fortune last year taking the under and the points. So I'm going to do the same thing this year. The 53 is the over. So I'm going to say 24-17 Nebraska. Although I think, it could be a blowout.
This is interesting because this is a game we should win.
Sure.
This is a game we should win by double digits. No disrespect to Cincinnati. The line is still 6.5, and it's been that for months, unless it changed in the last 24 hours and I didn't know, which is surprising to me. But not because if you bet against Nebraska in the line in recent years, you've made a lot of money. So I get it. I get why they don't want to change it. I honestly believe we should win by double digits. I'd be happy with a 1-point win because my other thought is, first of all, if we win, we should be 3-0 going into Michigan. And what if we lose?
Perish the thought. Don't even think about it. Don't speak those words into existence.
I know. I'm with you. So my happiness meter will go through the roof if we just win by 1 point or more, to be clear. I just want to get the win because it's game one. There's so much news, so much unpredictability. Game ones tend to be so ugly. The biggest margin of improvement is from game one to game two for just about every team every year. So game one's such a wild card. That being said, I think people should start taking the over on Nebraska this year because I think we're going to score. I'm not saying like top 10 offense in the country, top 25 or top 20 maybe, with the potential to be top 15 or whatever. I think our defense is going to make some exciting plays. And I think while they're young and learning, they may give up a few big plays the first half of the season. So I'm going to go slightly over. I'm going to go Nebraska 35, Cincinnati 20. So I'm taking the double digits. I'm taking the clear win. I think we're actually going to do well early. I think at some point Cincinnati will adjust. Maybe it's going to be kind of like the bowl game. Like we were clearly better than Boston College, but Boston College just found a way to stay in. And that game ended up, 20-15? Way closer than it should be. I think what's different this year is Holgorsen makes in-game adjustments. The defensive staff is on the same page, more so than last year. And I think in the second half, we start to pull away at least a little bit. So I'm going 35-20.
Awesome. Well, Adam, thank you very much. Now, Bob's going to, we do a weird thing at the end. Bob's going to take us out here.
It's not a weird thing. It's not a weird thing.
Awesome,
Strike
dude.
that.
It's awesome. You got to have confidence,
Strike
man.
that.
Terrible
Bob
setup
can do
for
this
Bob.
weird thing, everybody. Tune in. That's our pre-roll. What? Wait till the end to watch Bob do a weird thing. Like, no.
Hold on. Look behind Jay. Look behind Jay. You are watching the greatest show on earth. Look at that. Look at that. The greatest show on earth.
That's
Who wears a Savannah Banana shirt when they interview Matt Rhule, by the
way? The guy who wants to get his guns in the shot. That's what's happening, right? Well, yeah, they're going to be out with the coach here.
Great interview, by the way. That was a great. I'll tell you, you're my favorite Nebraska podcaster. When I want to know something about the Huskers, I go to Carriker Chronicles, and we're proud to have our content on your website again this year.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for doing this. Very insightful information you shared today. Thank you. All right, Bob, do your weird thing.
Go Big Red!
Go Big Red, baby! Come on!
Go Big Red!
Come on.
Yeah. Oh.